One of the big factors of this game that I find to be its primary selling point is the wildlife. RainWorld's impressive simulation with its creature AI will never not cease to amaze me. Some of them I like, some of them I hate, and some of them I wish never existed. There is still a lot left in the setting that RainWorld presents that we haven't explored yet. But that's not what this video is about. Now, you know me at this point. I love all kinds of spooky, scary skeletons that send shivers down my spine. And a game that I've been very obsessively fond of recently is Look Outside. In short, the game takes place following some random during the cosmic apocalypse, as everything gradually begins to mutate. I have 2 videos on this, by the way, you should check those out. But anyway, getting to the point here. So what if I yanked the visitor and placed it in the setting of RainWorld? What would happen? Well, probably exactly what happened in Look Outside. But an apocalypse affects more than just some random flat you found on Zillow for way too much. However, the primary focus of this activity was the one building, so similar to that, we're going to cover the general radius surrounding Five Pebbles. After all, his infrastructure has only the best shelters. That's what you and your team of scoundrels would think. Let me introduce them. This is you, this is Scrunch, Blue Centipede, and Black Lizard humbly named Pablo. This hike will start in Garbage Waste, then Shoreline, Shaded, the Leg, then finally up towards Five Pebbles. Now, the premise of Look Outside is to never look outside, so given this hypothetical, we'll just assume that new routes have opened up during this time. Hopefully this goes well, but who's to know? I'm to know. I'm always to know. With that description and introductions out of the way, let's get to that shelter. Starting in Garbage Waste isn't too bad, you know? Remove the giant angry god and this place is decently livable. Just ask the scavengers. Normally I'd be exempt from asking them anything, especially now more than ever. Seeing how the effect of the visitor has already taken its toll, unfortunately. Their flesh and furs have begun to twist like pretzels, while pearls begin spilling out of their pores, turning them into creeping horrors manifested by their own greed. Surprisingly, they don't seem to be in pain. Whether that should be altered is your decision, though I wonder how many of them have even noticed. Despite all that, their society may appear freakish at first, but they adapt to change the fastest. Trading with them is as usual, though given how many pearls they have now, maybe give them something they don't have. The scavs are everywhere, some are taking this change better than others. It's ideal to keep them around just in case, because you may need the assistance with the room up ahead. The gross, evil, wet tunnel filled with the same dung-tinted tumors that called it home. Most of the Brother Longlegs stayed inside close to the water, but the one that did decide to slither out made quite the unfortunate mistake, creating the now Big Brother Longleg. The tentacles have conjoined, creating thicker, wider, octopod-like arms, still capable of moving, though it's become so heavy with water and presumably meat that it more so drags itself around the room, leaving a trail of clotted sinew wherever it goes. I would classify the rot as immune to the visitor, seeing as they're naturally blind, but that didn't stop it in Look Outside, so why should it here? Regardless, they're still easy to escape, if not easier. Getting caught, however, is still not recommended. Even if you do so much as graze its buttery filth, there's a near 100% chance you'll start becoming a pseudo-longleg yourself over the course of a few days. I'm sure that's good news for somebody. Anyway, like I said, they're slow, but everywhere. Make it out near the end of Garbage Waste and we won't have to deal with them much longer. There's one more threat through here, and there's no getting away from it. My advice? Die, because you're not outrunning it. The new and abused red lizard is ready to kill. All 3 mouths that take up its face are all built for you, my friend. Granted, it can't see very well, but that won't stop it from demolishing everything in a 25-mile radius. Or 40 kilometers for everybody else. Diverting its attention may be the only way to outplay it, because much like the actual game, one bite and it's over. And it can bite 3 times in one turn, so get caught and more than half your party dies. Fun! A good idea would be bouncing distractions between your team. The chances of killing this hellspawn is low, but possible, though I recommend just ditching the heroism and making a run for it. Thankfully all of you are on the same karma. Now that Garbage Waste is a thing of the past, there won't be any more reds from here on out. I didn't say it'd get any safer though. I hope you guys spec'd into swimming checks, because that'll be more pivotal now than ever before. New ways of traversing Shoreline have opened up, mostly being tunnels. At this point, I could imagine at least one of you would fill the multiple eyes watching you. But don't scream and maul just yet. It's John Jet Squid. Instead of horrifically mutating like the rest of the ecosystem, they become more self-aware and rational. Their front fins are growing jointed appendages, and some have even begun to grow feet. Despite being intelligent enough to communicate with your group, they can't really talk still, so their form of communication sounds more akin to sticky tentacles spitting out gargled water. It's so Polish. Honestly, if you let them be for long enough, they'll probably start forming their own society for all I know. Anyway, you can kill them if you want, these deep ones aren't hostile. And no, you can't take John Jetson with you either. Sorry, you have a full party and no home base. So say goodbye to your new friends, we're moving on. The jet squid stayed behind us in fear of what lurks in the dark water. A lot more hands than what you're used to seeing. Salamanders aren't typically known for their dexterity, but what else could have touched your leg? The eyes of the salamander have gone pale, relying purely on the ripples of the water. It's hard to see, but you're positive the hands on its spine aren't the only ones it has. Tongues of the salamander are notably annoying, but this one is worse. The many nubs and frills on the tip let it cling onto anything it confuses for food. Much like before, staying out of the water is your best bet here. Though if you want a real answer, you do have a centipede in your team. Just make sure none of you are also in the water before it turns this room into a McDonald's deep fryer. One salamander is easy, but multiple can quickly turn the bottom of Shoreline into a dungeon of slimy, groping terrors. In order to make it to the shaded gate, the normal map would have you exit to the surface several times. But like I said, the map has been adapted to fit this totally legit hypothetical. It will involve you leaving out to more open waters before you can reach the monster kelp room. It's weirdly empty here. I wonder why that is. The one creature that could claim the ocean as its kingdom has evolved to exceed all expectations. Up ahead is what appears to be a whirlpool of metal, circling the sinking gap as water pulls you into the blender of steel incisors. The Leviathan has evolved into that of Charybdis catastrophe. Attempt to swim away from the sinking maw with all you can. It's quite difficult to explain how big this thing is, so let me just get out the graph real quick. This is you. This is a Leviathan. With hope, you may barely make it. Enough lucky passes and you can escape to the last room before the shaded gate. There's only 2 more till we get to 5 pebbles. It was already dark to begin with, but now I can't see jack or shit. Scrunch has a lantern with her, thankfully, so huddle around. Because despite this place being fairly hidden from the sky, the creatures who were affected have already spread like plague. One of which being a lesser-known favorite of mine. The rats in the walls of this mausoleum are not exempt from the visitor's gifts. Every so often you may see one with a few more eyes or tails than normal. Compared to what you've seen before, though, it isn't much of a surprise. But the further you dive, the more you see. Lantern mice fused together. Following this trail will only lead you to the Rat King themselves. A station jumble of many lantern mice, glowing brightly in the darkness, enough to illuminate the whole region if not for the walls that contained it. The poor things can barely move. If you were to kill it, it would be a mercy more than anything, before their own skin blinds them. Or, if not a mercy, then for utility, as after death, the lantern mice's bioluminescence does not appear to lessen. One lantern won't be enough. Do what you must and move on. As we move deep, deeper yet deeper, and make your way into memory crypts, to the leg gate, the lantern mice seem to have stopped, and there's still the sound of movement all around. The skittering of many legs, accompanied by an unfamiliar sound of what may be something rubbery dragging across the bricks. Before any perception can be made, it's already tried to get you. How I loathe the spitter spider. The backside of the arachnid has mutated into long hollow tubes that shoot a sort of calcium needle, almost like Spearmaster, only in a more rapid succession. These needles are still laced with the same paralyzing venom, but it doesn't seem to go away naturally anymore. Spears hurt it all the same. Just be sure to aim properly, because this thing moves with ridiculous speed. You know, like an actual spider. Like I said, hope you can hit it before it hits you, so your teammates don't have to drag your body across the memory crypts. Because if that happens, it'll make the next part really convoluted. This place is as expected. Empty, dark, with the faint hint of a distant bell. The reach of Pebbles' structure grows ever closer, with the occasional drip of melted lantern mice hitting the dirt. Alongside that, the familiar clanking of mechanical legs is followed up by the sound of pulsating energy. The scissorbirds that trample through have become nothing but vessels for unfiltered power. The majority of them scream, panic, terrorize the route, occasionally letting out large blasts of harsh blue light when disturbed, only to cause chain reactions within the other birds, as memory crypts quickly turns into an epileptic's worst nightmare. So me! It's my nightmare. The overstimulating lights followed by the clanking of their bodies slamming into each other makes it easy to lose track of where you are. You make it out barely unscathed, climbing up to the gate of the leg. It might have been all the noise, but you could have sworn you heard more clanking coming from the sky. It's best not to look up, though, just in case. Vision has returned to you. Megalophobia intensifies as your team enters the final region. Just this last one, then it's him and nothing else. The walls have begun to warp into a texture similar to that of the Longlegs tissue, as new pipes have opened up as well. Walking through each corridor reminds you of friends and family and those you have lost. Looking closely, you can see their faces above you, until one comes crashing down. It's not who you think it is, and the dropwig knows that, or a drop mimic if you want to call it that, has evolved past simple traps, and has reshaped to fit the prey it hunts. Not sure which end is the real one? Don't worry, it doesn't know either, and be sure to remember that. Get both heads, it'll attack twice and both jaws are equally deadly, and its face will copy whoever it's targeting. Leave these things alive for long enough and maybe they'll start developing separate minds. You don't want that. Kill as many as you can and make it across the underhang. As a wise man once said, don't look down. And I mean it this time. The fall may not kill you instantly, but the giant slithering lizard centipede that's crawling through the walls definitely will. Unity is something the orange lizard takes to heart. By attempting to consume one another, they have formed into an elongated conga line of cannibalism, with the sheer intent of finding more kin to join the collective. That's at least, 5 stomachs right now, so with enough rationing, your entire team is just enough. The front head of the shape takes lead, as all the other bodies simply follow the path. Unlike the lethality bites of a normal orange lizard, this amalgamation is an instant kill. You can kill all of them if you want, but that takes both resources and time, neither of which are plentiful. Do what you must to survive and carry on. The entrance to 5 Pebbles is nearing, and you've come far. There is a moment of clarity as you gaze down into the empty abyss, as one would assume it gazes back. But that's not the calling of the void. That's its messenger. The same clanking from before is returned, as the rotating blade of a buzzsaw scissor vulture begins to defy all gravitational laws as it claws its way out of hell, scraping the sides of the underhang walls with its irradiated blade that shift in hue. Any part of this creature is deadly enough to flay every member of your party. Stabbing it in the eyes will result in scattered explosions all around its body. Would you rather fall to your death, or face it? No shame in either. But there's such a small gap between you and the gate. You've made it this far. It doesn't matter who you lose. This is about you, isn't it? Survival does not equate to teamwork. We must do what we can to live a little longer. Leave her behind and keep going. A distraction is enough to make it. If you're upset about it, then you should have given up when you had the chance. The scraping of the scissor vulture's blades can be heard echoing even here. In this scenario I've given, if you did make it this far with your entire team in check, I applaud your patience. But leaving the unnecessary behind isn't something to be ashamed of either. Like I said, survival is a priority. Teamwork is only necessary if the team is there. RainWorld is a single-player game for a reason. But that doesn't matter anymore. All the horrors you have been dealing with, only one remains ahead. The interior structure of Five Pebbles is without anti-gravity. Even its ambient whirring has been replaced with a sort of shallow breathing. You know the route ahead, avoiding unfortunate development and heading straight to the only shelter left. The one following the exit to Five Pebbles. Maybe when you hibernate, you can realize this was all a dream. Maybe it was. After all, throughout this whole journey, there was never a drop of rain. Climbing the muscles and pipes of his structure, no enemies in sight, eventually making it to his AI control room. The blue rot has infected the walls, alongside a meshed, synthetic pink and orange material that grabs at your body and pleads for death. There's nothing you can do about that anymore. Inside the isolating box that his puppet is kept, you can finally meet him. A god chosen without judgment, truly is a puppet on strings. Five Pebbles lays dormant, barely moving. It would require more operatives were you to kill him, or even attempt to do so. The afflictions of his disease hold him like a marionette. Hostile as before, they tug at your body in attempts to consume you. There's nothing left of him anymore. Whatever is left of his consciousness has melded into the tumors of his own turmoil. There's only one way out. Either make it out alive, or die in pity. If you truly are capable of making it out alive, then don't wallow in your sorrows and keep moving. Only so many rooms ahead. You can finally make it to the only shelter left in this world. Maybe it's a good thing you left them all to die. There's only enough room for you. The visitor will maybe only be here for a few more cycles. Unless Pebbles begins to mutate out of his containment, you can simply wait here. Wait, survive, and starve with yourself. In a world wrought by apocalyptic threats beyond our understanding, the only one we can trust is ourselves. Attempt to swim against the singing. That's hard to say. What the fuck? Attempt to swim against the sinking. Why did I make that so difficult to say? Instead of horrifically mute. I can't breathe.